am Brett Scott. This is Tom Downey. Let's get into our news and rumors. We're going to talk more about those news and rumors that you saw off the top. We've got 12 news and or rumor items to get to. Let's take a look at the rumor-o-meter in case you're new to this. We're going to give it 0 to 4 stars. 0 stars, Eagles Super Bowl rings. It's going to stick at 0 this year too, Tom, right?
It is.
1 star, there's a small shred of truth, because in every lie there is a little shred of truth. Cam Rogers said that. 2 stars, people are talking.
The people are talking.
It's
firmly in the rumor category, but it very well could happen.
It's out there. 3 stars, it's pretty likely. It's most likely going to happen. And then 4 stars, it's a fact. Des caught it.
That's what happened.
Let's take a look here at a 4-star rumor to start, and that's that Will McClay is staying with the Cowboys. He rebuffed the Houston Texans overtures.
This was a very weird story to kind of watch it play out. First, the report was that Will McClay was staying, and then it came out that he actually hadn't said anything because the Texans hadn't reached out to him yet, and which made it seem like he was waiting to hear from them and that he wanted to hear from them. And then the Texans reached out and he said, actually, no, I don't want to do that. So it was like some weird high school dating thing where they were kind of courting each other. Then someone finally got the courage to ask, and they said, no, I don't want to, which I really felt bad for Houston. I will say this, though. Will McClay has family in Houston. If he was ever going to leave the Cowboys, it was going to be for this job.
Yeah.
Being a full-fledged GM, which he kind of almost is right now for the Dallas Cowboys. And I think this is a huge retention for the Dallas Cowboys because I think Will McClay is the most important member of that Cowboys front office.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big keep for the Cowboys, no doubt about it. Hopefully help in a very important offseason for the Cowboys. Some free agent choices to be made, of course, and then a very critical draft if the Cowboys want to stick in that Super Bowl realistic category.
Could not agree more.
All right, let's go to number 2 here on our News and Rumors Roundup. Defensive coordinator Rod Marinelli. Could he retire, Tom?
I'm putting this as a 2-star because I think it's about 50-50. I think that
2-star, people are talking.
Yeah, 2 stars.
It's
so
out there.
It's not pretty likely yet, but people are definitely talking about it. He is going to turn 68 this offseason. And around this age, when you're a coach, be it a head coach or a coordinator, you kind of get to the point where every offseason you kind of mull over, should I stay? Should I come back for another year or two? Should I just call it a career and go retire and spend time with my family and my grandkids and all that? So I do think it is 50-50. Now, what the Cowboys are going to do is they are going to let Marinelli take as much time as he needs because they're not going to try and force him into a quick decision here. If he does come back, it's going to be for 1 more year. And what actually concerns me the most, Brett, about Marinelli taking time to decide, if he takes like a month, I think the Cowboys' in-house option is Matt Eberflus. And if Marinelli hasn't made his decision, the Cowboys might lose out on him as the DC.
Yeah, this is like what you see in the college game. If you let a coach take a little bit too long, thinking about my alma mater, Kansas State, and Bill Snyder, let a coach take a little bit too long, the replacement options can dwindle. So that one, of course, coming from the 4-star Telegram, we're saying two stars, not yet in the likely category, but 2018 could be Marinelli's last season in Dallas. All right, let's move on. Talking about Matt Eberflus, again, 2 stars here. Could he join Josh McDaniels' staff wherever McDaniels winds up as a head coach?
I think it's 3, if not 3.5 stars that he gets a DC job this offseason, but I went with 2 because it's a little specific here, so it means the people are talking here. That I do think if and when McDaniels gets a head coach job, which is, if not 4 stars, it's 3.5 stars as well, I think Eberflus is going to be his top candidate to be a DC. So we're going with 2 stars here because it's still in the rumor category, and there are a lot of if-thens, and I always like the if-thens. Yeah. My dream scenario, I think, if the Cowboys really are going to have 1 more year at most of Rod Marinelli left, I think what the Cowboys should try and kind of steer him towards is, hey, why don't we promote you to associate head coach, kind of like the Texans did with Romeo Crennel last year. We're going to promote Eberflus to the defensive coordinator. Rod, you don't have to call the plays. You can mentor. You can do some upper-level stuff. You can still coach the defensive line.
Coach in waiting, in a way.
More exactly, and let Eberflus call the plays. What actually maybe concerns me the most, and I'm going to mention this later on in the show in about 5 or 10 minutes, folks. Could Eberflus decide, hey, I don't want to risk having 1 year as a DC with the Cowboys. Let me go join McDaniels at a spot I know I'm going to have 3 to 4 years no matter what, and take a little bit more job security if the Cowboys struggle again next year and Garrett gets canned.
So this rumor coming out of CBS Sports and Jason La Canfora, who said that a couple of names to keep an eye on in terms of Josh McDaniels' coaching staff would be Eberflus and then Raiders quarterback coach Jake Peetz.
Former Raiders quarterback coach.
Yeah, former. All right, let's go to another one here. 4 stars. It's a fact. Dez caught it. Offensive line coach Matt Pollack has been fired.
Yeah, this has been confirmed, but we're going to give the rumor origin credit to the first people to have it. It was Cowboys Reddit user Pizza Hut Delivers actually had this first.
Seems like the best user possible.
Yeah, so he is gone. I think the Cowboys felt that the offensive line struggles were on the shoulders of Pollack. They really do miss Bill Callahan, by the way.
Yeah.
They really do miss him. I would love to bring him back. I don't know if that's actually plausible at this point, though, because I don't think he wants to come back to Dallas.
Few names to watch here in terms of who the Cowboys could hire. Tom Cable, former Raiders head coach, fired recently by the Seahawks, college teammate of Scott Linehan. Mark Colombo, Cowboys offensive lineman from 2005 to 2010.
Currently an assistant coach.
Correct. And then Paul Alexander, who's been with the Bengals for like 20 years now.
We'll mention Alexander here in a little bit. We saw the one comment about Tom Cable. I do not want Tom Cable as the offensive line coach. The Seahawks offensive line was a gigantic mess, and it wasn't just the talent. They've kind of thought, oh, Tom Cable is a coaching guru. He can make any offensive line look good. Here's the thing. I think they were worse under Tom Cable. Dwayne Brown, when he went from Houston to Seattle, he regressed as a player. Tom Cable is not the great offensive line coach everyone seems to think he is. I don't want to touch Cable this offseason.
I got a couple of comments here to get to, Tom. Michael Fry saying, we need Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Okay.
I like it.
I'm good with that. Scott's saying we need DBs and then a left tackle. So we're back on the Tyron Smith is not good or
backup.
something.
He can be a backup. They do need a swing tackle, but I don't think it's the top need.
John Ferguson saying get a tackle and a guard in the draft. It could be a draft where the Cowboys go back to the offensive line again.
Yeah.
William, will we cut back on Witten's snaps?
He compares to the Antonio Gates scenario, and I do think that's what you'll see. You'll see Witten get a few less snaps this offseason. We'll talk more about Witten and tight ends here coming up in a little bit when we talk potential cap
So
cuts.
those are 3 names to watch in terms of the offensive line coach. Next rumor is one of those names. That's Paul Alexander. Ian Rappaport saying, could he be the next offensive line coach?
So Paul Alexander is an interesting option here because he has been with the Bengals for multiple decades. He has been there for 24 years.
That is a multiple decades thing.
He was a multiple coach offensive line guy, like under multiple coaches. I mean, for the Cincinnati Bengals. Now,
obviously,
his stock probably dropped a little bit because of the way the Bengals offensive line played the last 2 years. They've had serious issues, and it came after drafting some high players. Now, he was always a pretty good coach, and I think if the Bengals go with Alexander, that indicates to me that Linehan doesn't have as much power as he might like to have when it comes to the offensive staff. Because I think Linehan would prefer to hire Mark Colombo. If they go veteran, that means they're hoping to get just some more experience in there, because I think that was the issue with Frank Pollack. He was too raw.
An ESPN report also indicated that Alexander has interviewed for that job already. Couple of comments coming through. What's up with Rico Gathers? We're going to get to that, Alonzo. And Stanley Cook, is Hannah a cap casualty? We've got potential cap cuts coming up for you guys here in just a little bit. Of course, we're going through our news and rumors roundup right now. If you see 0 stars, it's fake news. Yeah. It basically means it's the amount of stars, rings that the Eagles have.
0.
1 star, small shred of truth. 2 stars, the people are talking.
It's a thing.
3 stars, it's pretty likely to happen. 4 stars, it's a fact. Dez caught it. We're going to do a follow-up news and rumor here.
Yeah.
Kellen Moore, the next quarterbacks coach for the Dallas Cowboys, it's still only pretty likely. Yeah, 3 stars. Stephen Jones said it has not happened yet.
There was a report from Sporting News that said he had been hired. Stephen Jones comes out and says, no, we haven't made our decision yet, which I think is kind of an overarching theme right now as the Cowboys build their coaching staff. Someone has told the Cowboys staff to, hey, let's pump the brakes on these hires. Let's not just start hiring our former players all of a sudden without properly exploring other avenues there. I think that came from the higher-ups. Either it was one of the front office guys or it was Jason Linehan himself. I don't know which one it was, but that seems to be where we're at right now. It's still 3 stars, though, because I think Kellen Moore is going to be the quarterback's coach next year. I would be surprised, frankly, if it didn't happen.
Yeah, Tom going with pretty likely here. Of course, Kellen Moore, still in his 20s, would be a really young coach. And there's definitely some questions. You've always said he'd make a great coach, but there are some questions because there were reports that Moore more or less was not that interested in helping coach/mentor Dak Prescott these past 2 years.
Which I get the coaching side, but the mentoring thing is not what we saw on the field. And Dak himself has said that Moore has been instrumental in his growth. So I never really bought that rumor.
There you go.
That was like 1 star at most.
All right, let's kind of shift back to the offensive line here and talk about Tyron Smith. Cowboys not worried about his injuries. Once you have a back injury, Tom, you always have a back injury, though.
Yeah.
Pretty likely here is what you're giving this. Explain.
So the Cowboys said, and Stephen Jones said, hey, we're not concerned. He's going to be Tyron, and we have full confidence he's going to be fully healthy, which I do believe that they think he's going to be healthy and that they have led themselves to believe he'll be healthy. But I think they're being naive and foolish if they think, oh, he's fine. We have no doubts at all. We're not even going to look at the position. The Cowboys need to, at least in the back of their mind, say, okay, let's just be safe here. Let's make sure we have a better backup plan than Chaz Green and Byron Bell. And that's why I think it's only 3 stars instead of the full-fledged 4. I think Tyron's going to come back healthy next year. I really do. But I do have that slight bit of doubt, and that's why it's not 4 stars.
Yeah, I mean, Smith he got it tweaked in the preseason and just fought it for 17 weeks, more or less. And so if he can get healthy in the offseason, be ready to go week 1 next year, I think Cowboys can get themselves back to that quality offensive line that we know them for.
Totally
Keep getting
agree.
those comments in. I see a bunch coming through. We'll get back to those here in just a minute. Let's go back to the coaching carousel, if you will. Gary Brown, he will not become the Raiders running back coach. The Raiders did hire a running backs coach today.
Yeah, we're leaving this at 1 star because it's not fair to compare it to the Eagles Super Bowl because he was a candidate. All right, it's not fake news. He was a legitimate candidate for this job. It would have been 2 stars here had this news not broken about a half hour before we started our show today. Instead, it's just the 1 star. He's not going to be the coach, but there was some truth to it.
Yep. All right, there you go. Gary Brown still kind of on the Cowboys staff, but it is a bit up in the air on whether or not he would even be back.
I think he'll be gone. I'd be a little bit surprised. We just weren't ready to cross him off as an X on our earlier.
Yeah, he's still questionable on our coaching graphic. All right, 4 stars here. Sean Lee missed out on a $2 million bonus. Tom, explain.
You know, he needed 80% play time to get that $2 million bonus in his contract as an incentive. He only had 57.5. He missed the game. It was not close for Sean Lee.
No, it wasn't even close.
That's some significant money to miss out on, unfortunately, for Sean Lee.
Well,
stay healthy.
I like the structure.
So it was the way to do it. Yep.
All right, Tom. 4 stars is what you're giving it.
Yeah.
Cole Beasley has flow as a rapper.
Cole is good. If you missed at the top of the show, we played the new Cole Beasley rap single, 80 Stings. It's incredible. I like, the more I listen to it, the more I actually really like Cole Beasley as a rapper. I'm excited for that full album coming out in the spring.
So G-Eazy, Token, Logic. Who is he?
Take your pick there. I kind of like Token because
I'm already uncomfortable talking about this. I don't know what I'm talking about in terms of flow as a rapper. Tom, I can't believe you even put this on a graphic. What do you know about rapper flow?
I know what sounds good.
Let's go to another one who, Tom, Rico
put one out.
You're saying not a good rapper.
Well, he goes by Ricodon is his name.
Ricodon. We do not condone explicit material in Ricodon's rap flow.
We saw it and we're like, oh, let's listen to it and see if we can also have that at the top of the show. We couldn't play it for you.
Sorry, guys. The FCC doesn't mandate Facebook Live or anything like that, but the FCC might have come after us for this.
Y'all would have hated it.
Yeah, I don't think you guys would have liked it.
It wasn't good, and it was vulgar. Doesn't even begin to describe. Let's put it this way: we cannot say the name of the title of the song. That's how bad it was.
Would love to hear you guys' comments if you've heard Rico Gathers' new rap single.
It's Bleep That Bleep. Let's put it that way. So it was a
couple of bleeps in there.
Yeah. His actual singing is not that bad, but it's just zero lyrical ability.
So once again, Tom Downey, rap critic.
Guru.
Critic. No.
Guru's supposed to for everything now, though.
No, we're not going Guru. Although, new Cowboys Report drinking game. When Tom says Guru, take a drink. All right, last one here. Garrett fired if the Cowboys miss the playoffs next year. You're giving it 3 stars, pretty likely.
Yeah, this one coming in from the Dallas Morning News, and I think that it makes sense to me in the end that if the Cowboys have another bad year, I think at that point Jerry's going to say, you know what, Jason, I've always liked you, but we have to make a change at this point. And that's kind of what David Moore reported for the Dallas Morning News. And with this in mind, I kind of look at all the other staff moves in a different perspective. The phrase that I'm coming to mind is here, giving the staff enough rope to hang themselves with, where they're going to be in charge of their group. If Linehan doesn't get the job or makes all the decisions, if Gary makes decisions here, and the offense has issues again, Garrett or Jones say, look, we let you guys pick your staff, and it didn't work. This was not a staff that we brought over from last year. It was a whole new staff. We let you guys make your decisions, and you failed us. You guys are on the outs. And I think with that in mind,
I think at some point 8-8 just can't be good enough.
Exactly.
Too.
And I think with that in mind, you're seeing the Cowboys for a lot of these jobs be linked to not the big names. They're not going out and making a splashy hire. They're promoting one of the guys already on the staff, like a Kellen Moore or maybe a Mark Colombo. They're not going out and getting the veterans, the young guys from other staffs that were on the rise.
Well, I mean, we still have to see. They haven't made any hires
yet. But most of the reported ones and the ones linked to this current staff that we've discussed here on the show in the past few weeks. And with that in mind, it's almost like there's a potential lame duck situation. And that's what worries me about Eberflus, as I mentioned earlier in the show. He could go elsewhere, which is a sign to me that, hey, he's not secure, and he doesn't believe that Garrett has long-term job security, and no one from another staff is going to come on and say, yeah, let me take this job that I know is only guaranteed for a year because the head coach might get fired. So just monitor that and keep this in mind with the way the Cowboys make their coaching hires.
All right, those are our news and rumors of this week. Will McClay, he's staying. It's 4 stars. Rod Marinelli retiring. Well, 2 stars at this point. People are talking.
Yeah, people are talking.
People are also talking about Eberflus joining McDaniels. We'll see on that one. A lot of ifs still.
Exactly.
We will track that one. I'm sure we'll talk about it on next week's Rumors Roundup as well. Number 4, offensive line coach. He gone. Paul Alexander set to become that next offensive line coach. Hold up, not yet. Kellen Moore set to become the quarterback's coach. Pretty likely still, but hold up, hasn't happened just yet. Cowboys still have confidence in Tyron Smith's health despite the back injury. Pretty likely right there. 3 stars. Running back coach Gary Brown set to go to the Raiders. Nope, didn't happen. They hired a Colts running back coach instead. Sean Lee, he did miss out on a $2 million bonus. Didn't play enough snaps in 2017. 10 and 11, they're about the rap game. We're all about the rap game here, apparently. Cole Beasley, he does have flow. Rico Gathers does not. And then lastly, Jason Garrett out if the Cowboys miss the playoffs in 2018.